I'm Brittany Roger. You're watching The Drawing Zoo, and today we're talking about how to draw a hen.
Today we are talking about value. First we will do a warm-up, then meet the animal, then draw the animal. I will be using a pencil and paper, but there are a lot of other materials you can use in this activity. If you're new to the Drawing Zoo, I suggest starting off with one of our videos about shapes and forms, which I will link to in the description. Value is the darkness or lightness of any color. Let's practice shading or filling in a shape very dark, in the middle, and all the way to very light. I start off this warm-up by drawing a long rectangle. Then I draw a line in the middle of the rectangle, creating two sections. Then I draw two more lines, which create 4 sections in total. These 4 sections will each have a different value, all the way from lightest to darkest. It's easiest for me to start off shading in the darkest of the darkest. To accomplish this very dark value, I scooch my fingers as close as I can to the tip of the pencil, which allows me to press down very hard. I also make sure that I drag my pencil over the same spot over and over and over again to really cover up the paper. This will take a while. This next section needs to be dark, but not as dark. My fingers are still pretty close to the tip of the pencil so that I can push down hard. Notice that I am not covering the same space as many times as I did before. Time out! I also wanted to remind everyone not to make up extra rules by accident. It can be really hard to control our shading if we're also trying really hard to stay in the lines. Coloring in the lines is not important to this warm-up.
Okay.
Sounds good. I'm ready.
Awesome! Let's keep going. For the light shade, I am scooching my fingers away from the tip of the pencil. This prevents me from pushing down hard, and it also makes it harder to control the pencil. I do not go over the same areas as many times as I did before. And finally, we leave that last space blank because blank is the lightest. If you found this activity difficult, try it again. If you found this activity too easy or super fun, let's make it a little more challenging. An extra challenging exercise could be to add more squares into your rectangle. The challenge is to keep the difference between each square very small and gradual. It takes extra control and extra time. Whether you find this activity difficult or easy, it is really fun to play with other shapes. Let's look at this one. I am going to draw a line in the middle of this circle, and again, and one more time, to create 4 sections. Just like last time, I fill in the last section as dark as I can. Dark colors feel heavy, and our eye likes it better on the bottom. As I start my second darkest area, notice how close I am keeping my fingers to the end of the pencil. And keep in mind, coloring in the lines is an extra goal, not the goal. And for one final bit of fun and challenge, I'm going to show you how value and form cross paths. I start out the same way with a circle, but this time I am curving the lines that I use to break up the sections. It made the circle look like a ball. Speaking of 3D shapes, let's do one more. First, I draw a square. Doesn't have to be perfect. Then I draw 3 straight lines coming out of the corners, all facing the same direction. I can connect all 3 lines using the letter L.
It made a box.
And what I want to do is make sure each of these 3 sections are all shaded with a different value. Good job! That was a great warm-up. Now let's meet the animal.
This is Dr. E. Chickens are normally very social creatures. They like to be with other chickens, but Dr. E prefers the company of people. Yeah, you're so friendly. There are more chickens in the world than any other domesticated bird.
Wow.
There are over 20 billion chickens in the whole world.
What?
That's more than any other type of bird. Scientists think that chickens were domesticated over 5,000 years ago in Southeast Asia, where wild chickens still live.
What habitat do you think they are from? Desert, grassland, jungle, or ocean?
No fair.
I thought chickens lived on farms.
Well, that is true. Most chickens live on farms now, but they started out along the edges of jungles.
Wow.
Chickens are usually associated with wide open flat land, like a farm. But a wild chicken or domesticated chicken will take advantage of shrubs, plants, trees, anything they can use to feel covered and hidden. They do have a lot of predators that come from above.
Like what?
Hawks and owls are the most common predator for a chicken, followed close behind by foxes and raccoons.
Wild or domestic, chickens spend most of their day foraging.
They use their beaks and their feet to scratch and pick out bugs.
Like myself, they will eat a lot of different things. They use their beak to dig for worms, bugs, seeds, and they eat plants. Chickens are really good at several things: digging in the dirt, roosting, flying,
Sorta.
laying eggs. Chickens eat their own eggs. I don't know how I feel about that. Chickens are really good at perching. Notice those crazy dinosaur-looking legs. She did get her nails painted. They're not naturally that red. They let you know how they're feeling by making sounds. She can be very affectionate. She falls asleep in my lap. She likes the edge of my desk. Did you hear that?
Dr. E makes noise to communicate with me, but usually chickens do it to communicate with each other. They like to live in groups called flocks.
Living together is definitely an advantage. There are a lot of animals out there that would like to eat chickens, so when they stay together, they have a better chance of surviving. Doctor, do you concur?
What are those red things on her head?
Great question.
This is called the comb, and this is called the wattle. Both body parts help chickens stay cool when it's hot. Chickens can also pant, which is what she's doing now. It's really hot in here. Sorry, sweetie.
Let's give Dr. E a break. She deserves to chill out. Now it's time to draw the animal. You may remember from our other videos that we always want to start with the biggest part of the animal, but I also want to keep in mind where the smaller parts are going to go. I'm drawing a half circle to represent the body. Unlike in other videos, this time I am doing my shapes very lightly. Just like in the warm-up, notice how I'm holding my pencil so that I cannot push down hard. For the tail, I do a light banana shape. The chest, neck, and head all put together make a stretched out pear shape, and I make sure I get that head nice and round. For the tricky legs, I'm basically tilting an oval and connecting it to a skinny rectangle. The toes are simple straight lines, but it's hard to fit them all right next to each other. Before I move on to the smaller shapes and details, I am going to make sure I nicely connect all of my big shapes using swishy round lines standing in for feathers. Notice how I'm pressing down harder now that I'm happy with my shapes. This is also a great time to change any shapes that you weren't happy with. You don't even need to use an eraser. You just draw over it, pressing down harder. Inside the circle head, I'm doing a circle within a circle to show the eye.
That's a lot of circles.
Under the eye and to the side a little bit, I do a letter C for her ear. Under the C and the eyeball, I do a curved triangle or teardrop for the beak. In other videos, we have talked about wacky shapes. Well, this is one of them. I have no idea what to call this, but it represents her comb. Then right under her beak, connecting to the neck, I do 2 simple small circles for the waddle. The legs are the hardest part for me, but let's give it a good try. I'm tracing over my light lines with darker lines. Chicken feet are so funny looking. They have that back toe, and then the rest of them are grouped together in the front. There we go. Look at that! Now we are ready to shade in some values. Let's take a look and compare how dark her other body parts are to the lightness of her feathers. Her eyeball is very dark, but the skin around her eyeball is medium to light. I'm taking this time to add a mouth and nostril. I'm getting the waddle dark right where it touches the beak to show a shadow. The rest of the waddle is medium to medium dark. I fill in the whole comb with a medium shade, and then I add medium dark and dark shadows or lines to show how wrinkly it is. Next, I'm doing really fun, loose, swishy lines to show the light shadows of those feathers. Then I do it all over again, pressing down a little bit harder to show the darker shadows in those feathers. Because the legs and feet are under the body, that is where we have some of our darkest shadows, which I am going to add now. The darkest shadow is right in the middle of each leg, under the toes, and then those nails. We've done a lot of amazing work. Woohoo! But because we have a light chicken on light paper, it's a little hard to appreciate all the work we did.
Yeah, you're right.
And I have a trick that's going to make a big difference.
What is it?
Our animal is hard to see because there is not enough contrast between the hen and the paper. So I shade in the whole background to really make my drawing pop. If you're pushing down hard, you might get tired. Make sure you take a break. Wow, didn't that make a difference?
Yeah!
I love it!
Good job! Let's see how other people did. Oh, this artist used the side of a crayon to fill in the background. Very cool. Nice shading.
Thanks for watching. I hope you learned a lot about chickens. Subscribe to this channel for more animal art activities. You're watching The Drawing Zoo, and today we're going to talk about how to draw a hen.
Please don't poop on me. I'm really not in the mood.
Scientists Scientists. Scientists think. Can't say the word scientists.